Watch us here with a warning. Right now our nation's in mourning. We hope that justice prevails soon. The Martin family, we're with you. We come together, we must care. The negative can go elsewhere. I put my hoodie on while weeping, because this case is so misleading. Right now our nation in mourning. We want justice, and you want it, don't you? We can feel it, cause we've been waiting for it since it happened. I've been over a month. Why Toto telling the story? And please don't even try to ignore me. This situation is racist. You black and in a hoodie, we suspicious people showing no love. Trayvon, we are your family. We come together, ruling with your mommy and daddy. The situation is crazy, but still we're waiting patient for this case to see they trying to ignore us. The police, they were sloppy. They approaching us blindly. And Zimmerman is so crazy. He knew it wasn't right like him until I heard him singing the same song. Why so here with a warning? Right now our nation's in mourning. We hope that justice prevails soon. The Martin family, we're with you. We come together, we must care. The negative can go elsewhere. I put my hoodie on while weeping, because this case is so misleading. Why Toto here with a warning? Right now our nation's in mourning. We hope that justice prevails soon. The Martin family are with you. We come together, we must care. The negative can go elsewhere. I put my hoodie on while weeping, because this case is so misleading. Right now our nation's in mourning. And I'm bawling. I could see him when he was walking. I can hear his voice in my head saying, what is he doing? What is he doing? Talking here on the cell phone was a sweetheart, and he said there's a man in a strange car. She said, Trayvon, why don't you turn and just run, because you don't know who this person is. Right now our nation's in mourning. Chill, it ain't bad, girl. I know this dude is tripping, I'ma walk a bit faster, and you ain't gotta worry about nothing. Girl, I got this. That's how the story surprised me. Now I want telling them kindly. Cause in a minute we go crazy. The student wasn't right, the police, they know they handled this case well. Why so here with a warning? Right now our nation's in mourning. We hope that justice prevails soon. The Martin family, we're with you. We come together, we must care. The negative can go elsewhere. I put my hoodie on while weeping, because this case is so misleading. Why Toto here with a warning? Right now our nation's in mourning. We hope that justice prevails soon. The Martin family are with you. We come together, we must care. The negative can go elsewhere. I put my hoodie on while weeping, because this case is so misleading. Right now our nation's in mourning.
And y'all don't see nothing wrong. Trayvon is gone, he left the house and he would never come home. Police, I put it on ya. Too many inconsistencies, he called the cops. Don't understand why did he need to call them. He disregarded the authorities. They told him not to follow at all, continuously. Gun on his hips, he's so pretty, he acted extra thirsty. Black in a hoodie, that's the same.
Right now our nation's in mourning.
He was warring, he got a little mad cause Trayvon tried to ignore him. Got shot with a big boom, he was the aggressor. Trayvon shot the yell, that's when neighbors detected. The yelling would stop soon. Police ain't showing love, they let him walk away with murder, didn't lock him up. I love the way we came together, give us all applause. Trayvon Martin and your spirit isn't all of
Why so
us.
here with a warning? Right now our nation's in mourning. We hope that justice prevails soon. The Martin family are with you. We come together, we must care. The negative can go elsewhere. I put my hoodie on while weeping, because this case is so misleading. Why Toto here with a warning? Right now our nation's in mourning. We hope that justice prevails soon. The Martin family are with you. We come together, we must care. The negative can go elsewhere. I put my hoodie on while weeping, because this case is so misleading. Right now our nation's in mourning.
right. Good afternoon. Sooner or later they're gonna come to me. We have something going on. Good afternoon. I'm Nat Wood, and you know you're watching 30 frames a second. We had a little mishap. We're still getting used to this, new situation that we have at this totally revamped, unbelievably professional M&N studio on 59th Street. That was a video by a children's choir, and it's spelled W-A-T-O-T-O. My co-host thought it was pronounced Watoto, but I think they said it was Watutu. So I'm going to say Watutu because I think that's what they said, but it's W-A-T-O-T-O. They're a fantastic group, and they did a dedication to Trayvon Martin, and I thought that was appropriate with all that was going on. You know my co-host. He's hosted this show before. He's Doshad Farrad. He's my brother from another mother, younger brother from another mother. And we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the Trayvon Martin case. We're going to talk about violence in the black community. We had, if you remember, we had Ramarley Graham's mother, Constance Malcolm, on last week. And we're going to talk about that case. And the way that violence against black people in general is coming down. That is both from within the community and from within the police department and the government. And whatever else you can think of that I'm not thinking of right now because I'm like babbling. With that, if they have my opening ready, we're going to run that opening, and when that's over, we'll be back, and I will be here with the one, the only, the inimitable Doshad. Where the victim is now the perpetrator and the perpetrator is now the victim. And that just drives me crazy. All right, I think we have some problems with my co-host Mike, so we might stumble around a little bit trying to get him another mic. So once again, I'm going to have to babble. You just saw a creature walk in front of my camera, but that's the way we do it here because everyone is a star. And you only saw his back, so next time he'll show you his face. Doshad Farrad is a journalist. He works on, what do you work on, Doshad? They can't hear you, but they can hear me.
YourBlackWorld.com.
YourBlackWorld.com. You put the mic, he's a real professional. He puts the mic right in his mouth. Here, put it on yeah, come over here. It doesn't matter. Put that camera on. Give me the full shot, so you can see what I do. Yeah, it's too late now. There you go, and I'll put it out here. There you go.
Thank you very much.
All right, you got it. Okay, we're back. Doshad, again, my co-host Doshad Farrad, he's going to be here next week with some guests if he can get some of those old men that he likes to hang around with to make it here on time. The Trayvon Martin case, what are your thoughts on Trayvon?
Well, it's amazing to me how so many people seem to be in denial concerning George Zimmerman's guilt, and in denial about the simplicity of the case. I've been telling people since it took place, and I'll say this again. He was told not to follow him. He got out of the vehicle, followed Trayvon, And had he not done that, had he obeyed the police, Trayvon would still be alive. And a lot of folks keep missing that. I don't care what Trayvon's criminal background was, alleged criminal background, his so-called gang affiliation, his alleged marijuana smoking, him being suspended from school. You were told not to stay out of the vehicle. I mean, you were told not to go out of the vehicle. You were told not to follow him. And had you not done that, Trayvon would still be alive. But it's, I wrote an article last year concerning the death of another brother who was killed in Florida by a white man who was claiming stand your ground. His name is Jordan Davis, the brother who was killed. And I wrote an article asking the question, is it open season on Negroes? And I gave examples of black men being shot across the country by law enforcement officers or wannabe law enforcement officers. And I asked the question, why? And I said that Trayvon Martin represents the, he's a typical case of the notion of black men being menaces to society, whether we old or young, but specifically young black men.
We're going to get into that. Have you been able to watch any of the trial?
Yes,
okay.
I've watched it since day one, definitely.
There were some things that confused me. I don't know if they're just going to allow them to slide by or someone's going to mention the fact that a few of the things just made absolutely no sense. But one thing seems to be evident, and I don't care whether it's stop and frisk or Trayvon Martin or Amali Graham, you know, or Amadou Diallo or Rodney King. When you get to these types of trials where it involves race, especially those cases, but not exclusively those cases that involve deadly force, there seems to be a tremendous contrary viewpoint, a difference of opinions within the black community and the white community. It seems like the white community, well, I'll ask you what you think. I won't even put words in your mouth.
Well, keep in mind that based on our experiences are always going to shape our mentality. It's very difficult if, for you as a person who does not come from a community that has been by and large oppressed, to be able to identify with the community that has been oppressed. Now, this is not to say that whites have not been oppressed, okay? Within the white community, we've seen Italians, Jews, Irish, Scottish, Polish being oppressed, but they were oppressed by other whites.
Oh, okay. Just, I want to throw that in.
They were not oppressed by another so-called race of people.
Correct.
So it's very difficult to see yourself.
So it's not even germane.
That is correct.
Right.
That is correct. So
I mean, the argument doesn't even stand ground because, you know, whether it's white people or black people being oppressed, they're being oppressed by white people.
Right, you were not oppressed or enslaved by another so-called race of people.
Correct.
So as a result, you don't know what it's like to feel as if though you're at war.
Because I've heard that over and over again, and they seem to leave that part out.
But this is what Cornel West said.
Yeah.
Dr. Cornel West said that on September 11, America was niggerized. In other words, what he was saying was that what September 11 did to America, it showed you the life of black and brown people living under constant oppression, living under constant fear. So what I'm saying is that this particular trial, it demonstrates that. In fact, it's very similar to just nearly 20 years ago, the O.J. trial. And today, when I was at the studio, I do stuff with Arise News. There was a Professor Martin, I believe her name is Professor Deborah Martin. Mm-hmm. She's an NYU journalism professor, African-American woman, and she had stated that this whole situation, it's like you have African-Americans seeing the trial as one thing, and you have Caucasian Americans seeing it as another. But this is based on our individual experiences.
Well, I don't think that's accurate. I think something fell. So while I'm talking, if you want to ease down, you can get it.
Yes, go ahead.
But I don't think that's accurate. I think that the collective white mindset has more to do with built-in bias that white America has. First of all, it does not want to acknowledge its own inhumanity. It will do anything and everything to get away from, like, even confronting the issue that, it has an atavistic side, you know. I mean, when you talk about the issue of slavery, when you talk about not even slavery, because they always bring it back to slavery. When you talk about the issue of the oppression of other people in the United States of America, the standard response from white America is, I mean, why you shouldn't blame us because, like, I used to be an animal, but I'm all right now. However, continuing events do not bear that out. Certainly James Byrd was not dragged from the back of a truck during slavery time. Certainly Trayvon Martin was not killed in 1853.
Or George Davis, definitely.
Or George Davis.
Or Sean Bell.
Correct.
Or Marley Graham, or Monty Gray.
700,000 white people are not being stopped and frisked. So we're really referring to current events, dealing with current events. But they try to bring it back to slavery, and any issue that relates to a crime perpetrated from a white person to a black person, they collectively build up, bring up this wall. The Trayvon Martin case is basically cut and dried. A person was in his car. This person was armed and dangerous. There was no legitimate reason to confront him at all. Certainly no black man would get out of his car with a gun and shoot a white man from out of town. I don't care what he was doing. If he was climbing in the window, if he was coming out of somebody's window with their damn TV in his hand, you better not shoot him. So the incident itself would seem to have nothing to do with race. But because the accused is, for lack of a better term, white, and the victim is most definitely black, there is this disconnect. There is and not only is it a disconnect, but you have like rabble rousers from like conservative television stations throwing gasoline on this thing.
Well, Nat, you know, I think you and I are actually saying the same thing. You know, earlier, I don't think you and I disagree concerning that. Last week, Bill O'Reilly had did a show on his, you know, he hosted an episode in which he had discussed Jamie Foxx's wearing a shirt in support of Trayvon Martin, and the question was, had a white celebrity wore a shirt displaying the picture of Zimmerman, would they have been considered racist? And he had a person arguing for and against. He actually had Alan Combs on the show arguing in favor of Fox, but he also had
This is strange, but that's a strange because they're not even germane.
But listen to the point.
Zimmerman is the guy who's alive.
Right. He had a white woman professor on there, Dr. Crawley. Dr. Crawley, she's a white female professor, and she was arguing in favor of what O'Reilly was proposing. So what I did, Nat, you know, I wrote a letter to him. You know,
but that's stupid.
Right. What I did was this: they kept mentioning what Alan Combs was explaining was that, look, you know, black people come from an oppressed minority.
But that has nothing to do with it.
He had said, Bill,
he's comparing apples and oranges. He's saying if I wore a shirt with George Zimmerman's face on it, what would people think? Well, most black people are used to this kind of craziness.
But I asked them that in my letter.
But a more appropriate question is, what if white people had wore a T-shirt that had the Central Park victim on it? We're talking about victims. We're talking about the T-shirt of the victim, of the dead person. We're not talking about, you know.
I had addressed that. What I did was that I addressed that in a letter that I sent to Mr. O'Reilly. I said, what does racism?
Yeah, suppose I wore the T-shirt with OJ on there after Nicole was
I said, how was that racist? And what he said was, he said, he said, Jamie Foxx is wearing a shirt in support of Trayvon, and no one knows what happened. So what I told him was, I said, we know this much. I said that George Zimmerman was told not to get out of the vehicle. We know this much that...
You didn't have to tell him to get out the vehicle. Why get out the vehicle?
We know this. But I also continue by saying we know that a black man is now dead at the hands of someone white, of a white law enforcement or wannabe law enforcement. So it seems what I put in the letter was
a white man with a gun.
Right. I said it seems that, in my judgment, and Michael Everett Dyson even shares this perception, that many white Americans are in denial when it comes to the oppression of black and brown people.
I don't even think it's. Well, yeah,
Right.
yeah, but a dysfunctional denial, a denial that is without rhyme or reason. One thing is for sure. George Zimmerman got out of his car with a loaded weapon. The weapon was behind him. His recollection of the way things went down and his rationale does not make any logical sense. But one thing is clear. We do know the facts that this man got out of his car in the dark and the rain and pursued a person based upon some observation.
He said he looked like he was on drugs.
Whatever the hell that means.
And then he said,
in the rain and the dark.
He said that complex had prior burglaries.
Again. Oh, okay. I gotta sit up straight. I've been told I look like a frump. Correct. That these assholes always get away or something, and whatever the hell that means. Again, the fact that I may or may not be drunk or drugged, the fact that you may or may not have been robbed or not robbed, is irrelevant to me. If I'm not buying drugs, using drugs, or robbing anybody, I should be free to walk in peace. And Zimmerman looked like a derelict, a dysfunctional old skinhead. I remember Rachel
Madoff?
No.
You're talking about his tip, Gentel, Rachel Gentel, yeah,
right,
Trayvon's friend,
right.
yes.
She said that Trayvon
identified
him as a creepy
ASSC word.
Right, a creepy ass cracker. A creepy ass cracker. I want people to understand. The Trayvon identified him as this creepy ass cracker that was following him. Now everybody everybody screamed and yelled about the word cracker, but the definitive word is creepy. Creepy is something else. Creepy is, I don't know what the hell this nasty person is following me.
And Trayvon also called him a nigger as well. People had.
But again,
yes,
that's different. If your dope addict uncle comes to your house, you watch his ass because you figure he's going to take the TV. If your creepy ass uncle comes to your house, you don't want him anywhere near your children.
Yes, sir.
See, it's a different mentality. When a creepy person is following you, all alarms go off. And make no mistake, George Zimmerman was a creepy looking ass, whatever you want to call him at the end of it. He was creepy looking. He was creepy looking when he was presented to the police. To see someone like this following you in the dead of night in the rain would set off an alarm for any normal person. Any
normal person, especially a teenager.
Especially a teenager. My grandmama would worry about this nasty man.
Whose parents told, and we discussed this at the station maybe last week, especially a teenager whose parents told them not to speak to strangers from the time they were a little child.
Correct. So
you think you're being followed by a kidnapper?
And make no mistake about it. I come in peace, and I plan on leaving the same way. And I do not appreciate any old reprobate coming up to me asking me a bunch of questions. So if you believe that you are entitled to ask me questions, white America, go to hell, because you're not. I don't want to see your mama ask me no questions, your daddy asking me no questions. I expect to be able to travel in peace in the United States of America. You don't like it, I don't care.
Now, last week I witnessed Sean Hannity. He had replayed the interview he did of Zimmerman from last year.
Right, I remember that.
And, I saw it. And Zimmerman came across literally the whole time as being sociopathic, unrepentant, and then
he's nasty looking. I'm not going to analyze his character, but he's a nasty looking old man. He's a nasty looking man.
Well, what I'm saying that is that he appeared to, not care that he took a life, and he said it was God's will.
I remember that.
Okay, and I saw
remember
he
that.
said it was
I
God's
remember
will,
that.
but his whole mentality
Which
was
is
that.
strange for somebody who just took a life. It would seem like somebody who just took a life, if they believed that that life was worth anything at all,
Exactly.
Would be
Exactly.
devastated.
Exactly. But what amazes me about this situation is, since it took place, what amazes me is the justification, the constant justification of black suffering. It's always because it's always our fault that we did it. It's always, I'm talking about whether we're talking about us being shot down by police, slavery, it's always our fault. We do it to ourselves. But if you notice, no one ever uses that excuse for any other oppressed group. No one ever says they brought it on themselves. It's always us. Notice how the justification. Well, Trayvon had on his hoodie. You know, you have a lot of folks that were actually defending Zimmerman being suspicious at a black man wearing a hoodie. He shouldn't have had. He should have been dressed like a thug.
I'm gonna tell you something. I actually don't give a rat's ass what white people think.
But this
I don't.
This
I
how a
don't
lot of
care.
us. But,
I don't care.
Nat, a lot of us think this way. I'm talking about you have a lot of black folks who actually share this sentiment.
Again, you saw the pictures of me as a little boy.
Yes, sir.
I have never been a slave, never had the mentality of a slave, even as a little boy with my mother, you know. And I actually don't really give a rat's ass what everybody thinks. I reiterate, I come in peace. I should be able to travel in peace. And no little nasty man should be able to come to me asking me, Jack, if you see me climbing out of somebody's window, that's one thing. But I ain't climbing out of anybody's window. If you see me committing a crime, fine. My taxes is paid. I don't drive a car, so you ain't gonna give me no ticket for speeding. I haven't rented a city bike yet, so you can't give me a ticket for not having a helmet on. I come in peace. I plan on going in peace. The fact that there's something strange going on inside your little mind is not my problem.
That's right.
That's between you and your mama.
Understood. I agree.
And the fact of the matter remains, Trayvon Martin came, he didn't rob the grocery store, he bought the damn Skittles, bought the iced tea, and was not in the act of committing a crime.
Even if
whatever goes on in George Zimmerman's puny little mind,
and even if he
is between George Zimmerman and his God.
And even if he did rob the liquor store, rob the store, it was not within his his chosen jurisdiction.
Correct.
That wasn't a part of the apartment complex.
Correct. But that didn't even happen.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You know,
that's why I said if.
We could theorize.
I said if. But they didn't say that. They didn't say that at the store.
Correct.
They didn't say that he robbed it.
Correct. At the trial, they brought in a bunch of. There was the tape of the incident.
The screaming. It was
the screaming.
Right.
Help me. And George Zimmerman maintained that he hasn't said anything really. They brought in all of these people who know Georgie, and they.
Well, he told the police it was a scuffle. He did tell the police that it was a scuffle.
But he didn't recognize his voice when they asked about the voice.
He didn't recognize his own voice.
His own voice.
He didn't recognize his own voice.
But they brought in a whole bunch of people who said they recognized his voice. And I wonder, does he scream like that often?
My thing is, first of all, if you're attacking me and I pull out a gun, am I going to be the one, if I have a gun, am I going to be screaming for help?
Because he was screaming, but he was screaming. It wasn't just help. He was screaming like somebody snatched his wig off at the ball.
If it was, I'm saying, if it was him.
If it was him.
Yeah, why would it be? I mean, my thing is, in my judgment, it sounded like a teenage saying, it sounded like.
And the funny thing is, is that about the screams, the experts say that they can't identify the screams.
They say that they can't.
They can't.
Which is quite amazing because all they have to do, not usually they get a And
it's like fingerprints.
They get. I'm saying that they get a voice. I mean, since Zimmerman is still alive, you can just get a simple voice sample, run it through the machines. Just like if you were to make it, just like if you were on a speakerphone or somebody heard you threatening the president.
Funny thing is, I'm not even sure that's relevant. In point of fact, even if you don't get second-degree murder, one thing is painfully obvious, is that George Zimmerman's irresponsibility led to the death of a young man.
What's painfully obvious is he should not have followed him. Once again, that's what I keep saying.
That was the irresponsible part. You were armed. You followed a person, and that person ended up dead. That person who was committing no crime.
You were told not to.
Your irresponsible actions led to the death of a young man. I mean, and you can argue till doomsday about who was the aggressor, you know, but George Zimmerman should have got his ass whipped.
I said the same thing. Be quite honest with you, Nat. I said the same thing. I've said that, and what I think may have happened, and I could be wrong, is that they said it was an MMA style, mixed martial arts style tussle. That's what certain folks were saying. Is that what I said since I've heard that? Is that I think that Zimmerman, stepped to Trayvon, and, Trayvon, did what any brother in the hood is going to do. Yo, what you doing, yo? Whoop this behind.
It was a creepy ass cracker fall on him.
That's what I think. That's what I think would happen. I honestly believe that he straight up, he tried to attack Trayvon. We got into a tussle match, and Trayvon whooped his behind.
We got a caller on the line, so when they get the caller through, we'll take the call. There's a couple of things. They brought in the mixed martial arts guy, and the mixed martial arts guy said that
he had him for a year on and off, and that he couldn't punch properly, or that type of stuff. But
and he didn't really train. He took off 2 months, but he said he lost 50 to 80 pounds. The hell with the mixed martial arts. If you could just tell America how to lose 50 to 80 pounds in a year, you could make a hell of a lot of money. You could make a whole lot more money than you can make with that karate crap. Because America really is a country that a lot of people need to lose 50 to 80 pounds. I got a whole bunch of people in my family who would give him a buttload of money if he just showed them how to lose 50 to 80 pounds. And he says he doesn't tell him to train anywhere else. He doesn't tell him about diets or whatnot. So I want to know what the hell they did in that place where you can lose anywhere from 50 to 80 pounds.
Well, it really must not have worked too much, because Zimmerman has gained about,
Well, I guess he trained harder than they say in that place, because as soon as he went on trial, he blew right up, right back up again. So something was going on in there. But if we can't hear it through the speakers. If the caller is on, just put the caller through.
I'm on air.
Oh, yeah, you're on air.
Hey, Mr. Wood, this is Malachi, brother.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine now. And to your guests, I want to say a good afternoon as well.
Good afternoon.
There's one thing that you gentlemen did not point out, and, because you're covering so much, and that is that in that very audio, you hear Mr. George Zimmerman say, these effing coons, refer to Trayvon Martin or his life was effing coons. He also brought out the fact that they were always getting away. He used a host of racial epithets in the original audio transcript that they presented in the early going on of this trial. At the same time, it's clear to me that there's another case in Florida. I forget the young man's name. He was shot by a white gentleman because he thought that his friend's music was too loud.
Jordan Davis, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Jordan Davis, sir.
And he shut down. But what we're looking at here in this country, and the more things supposedly change, the more they stay the same. And it's very scary, because it appears to me when you have the Florida sheriff saying they're getting their riot gear prepared, that it's already in the works that this boy is going to walk. And if he doesn't walk on the second degree, they're going to give him a lesser charge. He'll do a couple of years in jail, if that, and it's over. Because let's not forget, he wasn't prosecuted in the first place. And it wasn't until Michael Bazin on 98.7 Kiss FM, and that's why that station is gone now, that this whole thing was brought to national attention. But I see the same thing happening that went down with Marley Graham. Some BS technicality is going to be applied, and we may have a full-scale riot in Florida, and they have a different mentality down there. And with that, I want you on the show, Mr. Wood. You got to come back. You promised me you come back.
All right, brother. You got it. I can't wait.
Now, Nat, may I respond? I just wanted to say,
you can
now
respond.
The caller just said something very interesting, okay? Now, a lot of folks have been saying that that Zimmerman perhaps will get off on a technicality. Now, the site that I'm with, yourblackworld.com, we just reported that you have a group, I believe in the West Coast, that is petitioning President Obama to keep black folk, to quiet black folk, no, to get President Obama to tell black folks not to riot if Zimmerman is let off.
Tell them.
Go to yourblackworld.com, and we're actually doing a story on this, and we just reported it yesterday, as a matter of fact. But there's a group once again that's telling the president, Mr. President, if Zimmerman gets off, please
control
your Negroes. I was going to say that.
That's right.
Please, but it's a petition.
King of the Negroes. Control your Negroes.
But yeah, look it up. Yourblackworld.com.
Wave your trident.
See, once again, that's what I'm talking. See, that's the that's the paranoia that pervades that black folks somehow are going to rise up and do to others what was done to us. A lot of folks think that.
There are a lot of people who believe that 9/11, I think you referred to Cornel West saying that 9/11
niggerized America.
I submit to you that 9/11 did not niggerize America. September 18th, the year 2008, niggerized America. That's when the stock market crashed and they lost all their jobs and all of those white privileged jobs that are never coming back, they're going to have to compete. I really believe that Obama was much better for white America than he was for black America.
Oh, absolutely.
But white America is too racist and stupid to know it, so they ass is in a sling. Because for the first time, Sharpton marches for jobs. All I want is the level playing field. And in one fell swoop, they level the playing field. The people who work harder, the people who study harder, the people who are more prepared have a better chance of succeeding in this climate in America than any other time. Is the playing field completely level? No. But one thing is for sure, there are millions and millions of jobs where Riley used to just go into the job and say white man, and they gave him a job. Those jobs are gone. Those jobs are in India,
that's right,
in Mexico,
for the past 30
China,
years, outsourcing for the past 30
and they're not coming back.
Thanks to Reagan.
Not coming back.
Thanks to Reagan.
And the same corporations that they've been touting so much has double student loans, allowed the sequestered to
and we need to get into the student loans talk too, brother. We need to get into that.
We need to do a whole lot of things. But for the first time, their asses are back to where it was when Victor Hugo wrote Les Mis.
The French Revolution, definitely. Yeah.
That's right.
It is Les Miserables. That's how it's pronounced, Nat. Yes, so we have to correct you, Mother Nat. You know,
I thought it was Miserable.
Les Miserables. That's how they say it, Nat. Les Miserables.
I'll take your word for it.
I've seen the place since I was a small child.
How can you see how something is pronounced?
That's how they pronounce it in the language in French. It's Les Miserables.
I believe you. I believe
That's
you.
How you pronounce it.
I can't deny it because I don't speak French. I was just inquiring, how do you see how something is pronounced? But anyway, one of the things that the caller mentioned was Ramali Graham. Now they're about to put that case back on the docket. If you remember. In May, that they threw the case out of court on a technicality. And
as always, or usual.
Right. Your thoughts on the Ramali Graham case, specifically since we're dealing with the issue of deadly force and how it relates to black people. We had been concentrating on Florida and Trayvon, but now let's bring it a little closer to home.
Well, as I said, I wrote an article about that, and I mentioned Ramali Graham in the article I wrote called, it was the killing of Jordan Davis, is it open season on Negroes? And I explained how there's no value placed on black life. That is his killing by that police officer is very indicative of how black life is viewed in America. outside and inside of our community, because we also have black law enforcement officers who are also taking us out, who are also brutalizing us, who have an overseer mentality. And so the thing that kills me, Nat, I don't want to say kills me, the thing that annoys me, once again, is this widespread justification for anything negative before it happens to us. And I asked the question, I said, instead of us always mentioning, well, black people spend more time killing each other, the question that I posed is, what is it about black life that says that it's okay for folks outside and inside our community to kill us without hesitation? That's a more pertinent question. Is there a value placed on black life, or is black life seen as valueless?
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. Assuming that what you say is correct, and assuming that it's not going to change in the foreseeable future, what's the next move?
Well, Nat, the next move is we have to address, one, we have to have a game plan, in my judgment, a game plan that cuts down violence within our community. You know, I don't have all the answers. Game plan would be us making people aware of the conditions that produce violence within our community, which leads to us killing each other, which says that it's all right for other people to kill us. That's one of the reasons. But I recommend we have to address, one, what's causing black folks to kill each other? Poverty, lack of jobs. Okay, we have to ask ourselves, why is it that our community is at the top?
But you just gave the answers to your own question. So again, that
But
is not a strategy. You're just rehashing what is. I'm saying what's next. I'm saying, assuming that what you say is correct, assuming that people both within the black community and the white community, there is a large number of people who do not value black life at all. Assuming that that's correct, and that's not going to change in the near future, assuming that we have some understanding of the causes to black violence against each other, of black hatred against each other, assuming that we have rehashed this over and over again for the last half century at least, you know, that I know of, and this is not going to change, what is the tactic moving forward?
I'm going to be honest with you, Nat. I wouldn't claim to be necessarily an expert in implementing. I can only tell you what type of program should be, but in terms of how we implement. Should we come to a place where we engage in tactics more than rhetoric? Marcus Garvey engaged in tactics. Elijah Muhammad engaged in tactics. Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad. So they addressed the issues that lead to our condition, but they also provided solutions, many of which were very effective. So we have to ask ourselves, Nat.
Black Wall Street was a solution, not just a rehashing of what is going wrong, but what do we do to make it right?
I should say, though, Nat, then what happened? Why did our community stop doing those things?
You tell me. But again,
we have to ask, you know.
We got a call, so they can just put the call through. If we hear the call, we'll take it.
Hey, what's happening, brother Nat?
Hotel, brother, how you doing?
Man, I was just enjoying the show with you and the good brother and whatnot. I just felt like I had to just drop whatever I felt I had to do and just give y'all a holler, man. No, me personally, my observation for everyday people and things like that, we don't have to do something about our value system, because unfortunately, you know, when one of us do something wrong, we all doing something wrong. It's just a blanket indictment. If one person do something right, that's just an exception.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And people judge us on a whole no matter what. So if you run around in a three-piece suit and somebody run around with their drawers out, guess what? We all got our drawers on. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, this is what's happening. And people are so selfish and self-centered that they don't see it. You know, you got people running around, oh, this is 2013, and we're in the 21st century. Guess what? They done tore down the Civil Rights Voting Act.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What's next? You know what I'm saying? Are they going to implement Dred Scott again? I mean, what's next? These people are busy taking away our rights slowly but surely. We're looking at a calendar, pretend we are ahead of the game. And slowly but surely, these people are putting us back in chains.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then we worried about 2 Chainz, the rapper. That worried about the 2 Shackles. You know what I'm saying? And this is a real thing, because there's people, whether it's a color thing or an economic thing, who want to enslave us economically. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And people got to wake up. You know what I'm saying? You got one faction that they want to enslave us financially, and you got another faction that they actually feel like they're better off being eliminated.
Right.
Or sent off in the middle of the ocean somewhere. Right. You know, and black folks, brown folks, we all got to wake up. You know, this racist thing is an insidious thing. It's a nasty thing. It's an evil thing. It's that we can't coexist. But then again, since when did the rape victim ever coexist with the rape? Mm. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, we were born into something that is like unimaginable. I'm still trying to figure out what person or what people dealt with what we dealt with and actually coexisted with the oppressor. Mm. I'm still trying to figure out who does that. You know what I'm saying?
I can't think of anybody.
That is a good question. That is a good question.
Yeah, I think
you know what I'm saying? The Jews, they got up out of Poland or wherever, whenever them Germans got into them, they got up out of there and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Or out of Egypt and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I've been trying to rack my brain. What oppressed people have tried to coexist with their oppressors, and I still haven't found it besides the Indians. And you see what happened to them.
And actually,
you know
and they never actually, Native Americans actually didn't try to coexist either with the Europeans. No, they didn't try to. No, they didn't try to coexist at first. You know, they were, like I said, they were wiped out. But it's funny the brother saying that, because, you know, Ossie Davis has said that during the Civil Rights Movement, the main thing that motivated the civil rights marchers and the leaders, his exact words was our quote, was our motivation to be, it was our desire to be loved by the white man. End quote.
Right. Well, he got that from Malcolm. Yeah, he got that from Malcolm. Right.
Yes, sir.
And it's true, and it's way beyond coexistence. It's
like worshiping.
It's a dependence.
Dependency.
Right. We're running out of time, brother. I want to thank you for calling. You have certainly given us food for thought. We got another call. We're going to take this other call. But call back. We're going to try not to insult you with silliness. And we look forward to you continuing to call, because you always come up with some heavy stuff that
we appreciate you.
You know. And that's why I like my callers, because they come up from angles that I don't even think about. That is, you know.
Understood. That's a good thing. Add to the dialogue.
Caller, if you're there.
Hello.
Hi. How you doing, caller?
I would just like to say quickly, because I realize we're short on time, that no individual or group can go through life looking to blame everything negative that happens, either to themselves individually or as a group, on an outside source. The time comes when the individual and the group must look at their own conduct and ask why this is happening. The brother on the stage with you today made reference to it when he said that any young black man in the hood would have reacted violently if someone had run up and confronted him.
In self-defense.
Now, the reason why black-on-black violence is so prevalent is because within the black community itself, there is a feeling of danger, a feeling of threat. And what must be understood, this is the critical point, is that by projecting this image of threat, of violence, and of danger, young black men are in fact endangering themselves. because no one wants to get hurt, no one wants to be killed, and people, when given the opportunity, will shoot first and ask questions later. People have to understand that by projecting this image of violence throughout the culture, either in the music, in the film, in our own conduct, we are in fact endangering ourselves. Thank you.
All right.
Here we go again.
Well, he hung up, so I wasn't able to address it.
Here we go again.
Well, no. He said a lot of things. Unfortunately, a lot of things he said were like disjointed. They were like a piece of this, a piece of that, a piece of that. And he brought them all together to reach some sort of grand conclusion. Some of them are just opposed to each other.
What I was saying to the caller, Nat, as I said earlier, when I said that Trayvon reacted the way anyone would have reacted, I meant in self-defense. That's what I'm talking about. It was clear in my judgment that Zimmerman reacted to him in a violent manner, and Trayvon defended him. So I don't just mean he just started whooping on him. Okay, well,
he couldn't have just started whooping on him because the man was in his car. He didn't go drag him out the car. The man followed him. And he referred to a creepy ass cracker. I don't want you to I don't want you to get so hung up on the ass cracker part and not focus on the creepy part. When a creepy person is stalking you, it sets off alarms. And you would have to be a damn fool not to have alarms set off. You don't know what he wants. You know, at least you know a thief wants your money. But you don't know what a creep wants. I mean, he might want to slit your throat. He might want to take him a little. He might want to give you something. I don't know what a creep wants. A creep is a spooky, scary thing. And he defined him as a creepy ass cracker. He didn't define him, and when you looked at Zimmerman, he was indeed, that was an accurate description. He was indeed a creepy ass cracker. Now, I don't know what the Trayvon Martin case specifically has to do with the black mentality. I also don't necessarily subscribe.
It actually has more to do with the white mentality than it does the black mentality. I was just saying that Trayvon, you know, like I said.
And I also don't think that you should blame someone for something when they're no longer to blame. But if your husband is beating your ass right now, he's to blame.
That is correct.
You know, if your husband beat your ass 20 years ago and he went and joined the church, he's a good person, and you're still blaming your husband's ass for 20 years ago, maybe you should just like accept what happened and move on. You know, I can kind of, although he was to blame for the 20 years ago and he might have messed up your mind. But if he's whipping your ass today, he is to blame today.
But this is what I wanted to add to that, to the previous caller. The first generation in America, the first generation of men that killed each other were white men after the Civil War.
Well, not only that, Europeans was killing each other like it was like going out of style.
Right, we know that now, but I'm just saying to be more, the reason why I mentioned the Civil War is because conditions were the same. In other words, you had no jobs, but you had a surplus of guns on the streets of America, and white men were full of anger, and as a result,
Victor Hugo's, what's the name of the French book again?
Les Miserables.
Okay. It was written about 1814, was it?
Yes.
Jean Valjean, because his sister was hungry or something, stole a loaf of bread. They threw his ass they made his ass a slave, made him a galley slave. And brought the bread in the trial, threw the damn bread away once they convicted his ass. It wasn't even about the bread. A galley slave, right? The Magna Carta, what was that about? If I caught you stealing the king's deer, I was going to cut your I was going to do what Jesse was going to do to Obama. Right?
Yes.
These Europeans doing this to
each other, right?
To each other.
Definitely.
To each other.
So that's the whole thing. That's what I'm saying.
And they wrote about this. I didn't write.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't write that book.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't write the Magna Carta.
The whole thing of black on black crime. Every group of people, whoever you're around the most, that's who more than likely is going to kill you the most. It isn't. It's nothing special. We have to stop saying, "Oh, well, blacks kill other blacks." So what happened to Trayvon was justified.
That's convenient. And then somehow it's something about rappers. I'm not even sure how this is germane. rappers say something in their music that, you know, that we deserve to be. You know, once again, when I asked about tactics and solutions, I reiterate, what the white man is going to think, he's going to think. What blacks who have been indoctrinated in this is going to think, they're going to think. However, one thing is for sure, we cannot allow either faction to turn us around. Like the song say, ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. Turn us around. Whatever is available. And make no mistake, you are looking at the future. Did you see the video I showed at the beginning?
Very astounding, video.
That is the generation that's coming for your ass. When you look at little Autumn Ashanti, who came out of the movement,
yes, definitely,
and you see her in college,
and
about to get her bachelor's degree before she hits 15, and the top 15% of her class before she gets 15 will probably have a master's degree before she gets 18 and has already been accepted for pre-med in Iona. This is the future that you're looking at.
And I'm from that generation too. I'm from that rebellious generation.
At the same time, and we're running out of time, so I'm gonna wrap this up. At the same time, you have the court system ruling that the police cannot be so smart, you know, that if you score too well on your IQ test, it's all right to disqualify you. I've never heard. So
that's quite ridiculous, isn't it? Quite ridiculous, isn't it?
Right. So when you know what, when you ask yourself, why the police do what they do, it's because they are legally mandated to be as stupid as they possibly can be by law. But we got a minute left. Tell them about your plans for next week and
yes, next week.
What they should watch that you're doing.
Next week I will be standing in for Nat Wood. I will be hosting this show next week at same time on this channel. I think you'll be most pleased by who the guests are. I'll say that as a surprise, but I will be announcing it on Facebook, Doshad Farrad, or you can follow me at Twitter at Doshad Farrad.
And you only got about 10 seconds left. What are some of the other things you're involved in?
Okay, check us out at themovementmagazine.net, yourblackworld.com, and arise.tv. Once again, that is arise.tv. Thank you for tuning in.
Wow, you spaced out for a minute.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, you've been watching 30 Frames a Second. I want to thank you so much for calling in. Even those people who disagree with me, we look forward to hearing your calls, taking your calls.
Love it.
We'll see you next week. I don't hear my closing music.
No, I'll see them next. I'll see them next week.
No, he'll see you next week. But 30 Frames will see you next week. And peace, love from everybody. Veronica, Deshaun, Sheila. Pray for Sheila. She's still hanging in there. She's strong and she's powerful, but she's hanging in there. Sierra, Lou, everybody who's involved in this show. We got Richie Speciality and a whole bunch of them guys back there working. And we will see you next week. We out. Peace.